Welcome back, everybody, to ISA Insider News. My name is Max Tim.
And I am Shayna Weber. And the top headline this week of March 21st is the Oscars.
The Oscars, this is the 94th annual. It's going to be held at Hollywood's Dolby Theater on Sunday, March 27th. For those of you who want to watch live, it's on ABC.
And we thought it would be fun if Max and I gave our picks for, some of the categories that we're the most invested in. And then we can check back next week and see how we did. And yeah. Are you basing your answer on what you think is going to win or what you want to win?
I think what I think is going to win. I also have to preface this with a little disclaimer saying I have watched very few of these movies. I've been a terrible writing consultant. I've not watched many of these, if any.
Well, I'm choosing who I want to win because I always do that. And even if I lose, I still feel good about myself because I didn't win on things that I didn't like. I've always done it that way. I never win. Well, actually, I've done pretty well. But okay, so let's start with the best animated film.
And everybody, you can just go to oscars.org if you wanted to just find a quick list here. That's what I'm looking at. So what do you think, Shayna?
Well, there's Encanto, Flea, Luca, The Mitchells versus the Machines, and Raya and the Last Dragon. I'm Encanto.
You're picking Encanto, which from what I've heard, and I can't believe I haven't seen it. I mean, I love animated movies. I don't know why I haven't spent the time. Well, I do know why, and I'll explain that later. But I need to see it. I have not seen Flea or Luca, but I have seen The Mitchells versus the Machines and Raya and the Last Dragon. Both were really great, and I enjoyed them very much. They didn't feel like Oscar-winning movies. So from what I've heard, like you're saying, Shayna, it seems like Encanto was probably going to be the one.
Okay, so best foreign film. You haven't seen any of these, correct?
I have not.
Okay, so there's Drive My Car, which is from Japan, Flea from Denmark, The Hand of God from Italy, Lunana, A Yak in the Classroom from Bhutan, and The Worst Person in the World from Norway. I've seen Drive My Car, The Hand of God, and I really want to see The Worst Person in the World. I'm choosing The Hand of God because it's beautiful, it's fun, they're all long, but it's it just makes you feel something, and I really, really liked it. And I know that a lot of people are choosing Drive My Car. We'll talk about that later. I watched it. I'll give my opinion on it, just my opinion. But yeah, The Hand of God.
I think that's an important note to make, because I've always felt that those Best Picture winners, whether it's international Best Picture or in general Best Picture, they should have this level of they give you feeling, and there's that emotional reaction in a strong way, whether it's positive or negative. And I feel like the past few years there have been really strong artistic or political choices behind some of the Best Picture winners. Which, it's fine. I get it, but it's also the Academy. I have heard amazing things about The Worst Person in the World. I think Drive My Car is probably going to win just from what other things that I've read. But knowing what you just told me before we started this broadcast, maybe I don't want it to, but I don't know. We'll just have to see.
We'll get to that when I talk about what I've watched. We'll talk about Drive My Car.
All right.
Okay, next up, let's go to Best Adapted Screenplay.
I have not seen any of these. I need to spend the time to watch these. How many of them have you watched?
I've watched, the only one I haven't seen, I have not seen The Power of the Dog. And oh man, I feel like I should, but I don't really want to be honest with you. But for this one, I'm choosing The Lost Daughter because it's the one I want to win, because I think that they did such a good job of minimalism with symbolism. And I'm a mom, so I can certainly relate to a lot of what's in it. I just think it's beautiful. I think it was a really interesting film that Maggie Gyllenhaal just did a wonderful job on, and it's not getting the recognition.
I haven't seen it before. I didn't know she wrote that. And seeing as though you just said minimalism through symbolism, I think if every screenwriter watching this can get their hands on the script, then they should watch it. Because gosh, there's so much you can say through a visual without relying on dialogue.
There's so much good stuff in there that's like, oh my gosh, I really liked it.
I'm going to choose Coda just because I've heard it's so wonderful. But again, I don't know. It's difficult for me to Oh, I feel so guilty.
Well, don't feel guilty. Coda is an amazing movie, and
Okay.
it's just a wonderful representation. And yeah, I'd be happy if Coda won. That would be great because it does deserve it. Best original screenplay.
Best original. I did see Belfast Don't Look Up, and because of what has happened recently in other award arenas, Don't Look Up seems to be doing pretty well. It's won a couple of different screenplay awards. I've heard wonderful things about all the other three in terms of King Richard, Licorice Pizza, and The Worst Person in the World. This is a tough one.
This is a tough one. I've seen Don't Look Up and King Richard. I'm going to go with Belfast.
Okay.
Just because Kenneth Branagh's personal story, it goes along with pandemic. I'm choosing that one.
It's interesting. I don't know how much it goes along with the pandemic exactly.
Well, it was inspired from our pandemic. It made him remember.
Got it. I see what you're saying. Okay, cool. I loved Belfast. I thought it was wonderful. There were some things about it that I thought personally, I was like, oh, there was just something about it that didn't quite hit it out of the park for me. But I'm gonna go with Don't Look Up because of how many moving parts and some of the dialogue and the characters were so good. So I don't know. That's what I'm going with. Don't Look Up.
All right. What are we going for best picture?
The big one, best picture, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Oh wait, that's not up this year. We have Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up, Drive My Car, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Nightmare Alley, Power of the Dog, and West Side Story.
I'm going way out, and I'm just going to do West Side Story.
Wow.
Because Spielberg is a genius, and it's just epic. To me, it's epic. I don't even like musicals that much. It didn't feel like a musical. It felt like cinematic candy. And I was just like blown away by the whole thing. So I'm just going all the way over there and choosing West Side Story.
All right, so we are recording this on Monday. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 nights to watch all these. And I need to. I am interested in watching all of them. Like I'm very intrigued by Nightmare Alley, even though I don't think it's going to win. It's my kind of story, but yeah. I've seen Belfast. I'm going to go with Coda because it's done pretty well in recent awards. Plus, people just say that they loved it. Like there's there's a feeling that have you seen it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you did. Okay, so yeah.
No, it's a great feeling. I'm mixed about it, but I understand why so many people are crazy about it.
Okay.
I may have gone into it with too high of expectations, and I was very happy with it. I think it's great, but it's not my favorite. So.
Interesting. Okay, we'll see, man. I don't know. This is I'm gonna have to watch a movie every night for the next week.
I've been trying to catch up and watch things because I feel so behind. Just in general, I feel so behind.
My problem is I get either hooked on some other show that I'm binging, and then suddenly it's 10:30. I'm like, oh my God, I have to go to bed.
10:30.
10:30. I know I'm an early to bed guy. But let's go to there's a second top headline. Cheers to all of the nominees, by the way. And we selected those categories just because those, there's a time limit here. Obviously, we're not going to go through every single category. We are not saying those are more important than any other. All of those categories, everybody who works on the projects are equally as important. We just kind of want to make sure that everybody understands that. But our second headline is a new deal for animation. So this is on the ISA Insider. Under the wrap, IATSE members and allies rally amid contract talks. And this is interesting because, there was that near strike for production union workers. And there have been in the past, plenty of rewrites of contracts for writers. But now the Animation Guild is looking to ratify their own contract, and I think it's kind of necessary. I think it's important. I think it's important for everybody out there knowing that there is so much more than just the kind of, dreamy actors and the directors and the writers who kind of bring all this to life. But Terry Cusimano, co-chair of the Tag Color Design Committee, we need a new deal that pays us equally for our work, regardless of what platform it airs on, that equally represents workers regardless of where they are doing that work. We need a new deal that pays animation workers equally to our live action counterparts. And we desperately need a new deal that gives equal pay for equal work. So that's the big deal. There's been huge growth, and this is kind of what it's talking about in the article, in terms of not just content, but animation. Animation's blowing up. And they are on a different deal than live action writers. And so they need to work through this. You know, we are seeing a burgeoning labor movement where people recognize that their success in the workplace requires showing solidarity to others in their times of struggle. It's a really cool article. And what they're finding is a lot of workers, non-writers in the animation space, they have been asked to like work in different departments. People who just want to focus on 2D storyboards have been forced to work in the CG like background departments because it's just kind of a mess. And so I think it's important to know that these things are happening.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. I think just the same way that music had to catch up with streaming platforms and all the different, you know, Pandora, and they still aren't there. Animation the same way. Just animation blew up, and now they have to catch up, and people are making a lot of money off of that. So time to pay the people who are working their butts off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, let's go on to This Week in ISA Insider, even though we referenced one just now. So it's a nice little segue. We're going to talk about 5 ways to elevate your romantic comedy. This is on Creative Screenwriter magazine.
1, it says for and against characters.
For and against characters. I mean, we've got a main character, or some people say protagonist, and then we have an antagonist or an opponent. But all stories also have some form of a secondary or, you know, dynamic character, a secondary character, a second lead next to the main character. In rom-coms, you usually see the 2 leads, you know, Harry and Sally. Those are the 2 leads in that story. They are each other's antagonists at first, or opponents, or even rivals, if you will. There are all these different ways to say it. But they're for something or they're against something. And that arguably is a really slow or a small summary of what they're saying here in terms of this particular piece of the article.
Always try to do something that you haven't seen before. Like, it's always in romantic comedies, you're always staying within certain parameters, but you always want to sort of push that wall a little bit and show something that we haven't seen.
That's tricky with romantic comedies too, because there have been so many that have been done and so many that have been done well. Coming up with a new angle, you know, it's not easy.
No, that's the hard part about being a writer, Max.
Yeah, and that segues into the second one where they're saying, what do they need? I mean, this is obvious, but there's also a little bit of what do they want, and that I think is kind of part of what they're saying as far as there are needs. See, I'm like a total terminology person, and because it gets us tripped up a little bit when you say need.
What they want is what they think they need, right? But then what they really need.
Bingo. Yeah, totally. And that's the key of this little section here. They think they want something, but they're also kind of dual wants. Like there's a want from an emotional standpoint, but there's also this outward, I think he's saying, yeah, an outwardly, you know, or worldly want. Or maybe it's a she. There isn't a writer on this article notated, but yeah, there's you know, they want to get the promotion, but maybe they also want to stay single for the rest of their lives, you know, or whatever that dichotomy might be.
And then the third one is what makes a great romantic comedy happen is secrets. There's always a secret. There's always something that's withheld.
Something that's withheld, but mainly for the purpose of kind of pulling the rug out from under not only the characters, but the audience. It's interesting though, because I'm trying to think, like 16 Candles, which I'll segue into eventually, but also When Harry Met Sally, there isn't really that level of a component, a secret.
For both of those movies, I think of more that it's the secret inside of them, of their own feelings that they're holding secret, that they're not revealing.
Good point. You're right. Yeah. There, especially in 16 Candles, she likes this boy, or etc. And she's terrified of, you know, being outed for that crush.
I need to go watch that movie again.
Yeah, it's been a while. Number 4, we have shareables. This is interesting. So the writer is saying these are tender moments that the couple shares exclusively, such as going on the roller coaster 5 times and getting ice cream and, you know, every flavor. These are the events that form memories and hurt so much when the lovers break up somewhere around the end of the second act. This, I think, is the most obvious one. We need romance.
You know? They're also saying at the end of it that it doesn't necessarily have to be romantic, cute, or intimate, that it could be as something as simple that just feels between them. Like, I mean, I don't agree with this cutting each other's toenails. No, I don't want to see that in a movie. So please don't write that in. But I get what they mean.
So it could be a tender moment, but you don't want to see that in a movie, is what you're saying.
They're saying these tender moments don't need to be cute. They just need to be intimate.
Yes.
Something that you can't do, say, or be with somebody else, like clipping each other's toenails.
Oh my
I mean,
God, I didn't even read that portion of it's in the article. Got it. Okay.
Copying each other's zits. Like, I don't keep that to yourself. I don't want to see that in a movie. Keep it in the backstory.
Yeah. And then finally, number 5.
5 is morality.
That's where, as we sit in silence. Well, I don't know what the moral of the story is.
Rom-coms nearly always end with the couple getting together. After all, it's destiny. They don't galvanize their status. They typically acknowledge that it wasn't meant to be, and they're better off as friends.
Especially where romantic comedies are concerned, because you have to change it up. That maybe they don't end up together, and it's okay, and you're making a new statement. And I think the world of Hallmark has kind of pushed people to this need for, in terms of the audience, for these couples to not end up together, to maybe choosing independence and not needing a man to define your life in a tiny, beautiful country home, town in the middle of December.
Because people are in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And in in Hallmark movies, it's a season called the holiday season.
Wow. I think we should just end the show there.
Oh my gosh. That's how I make my money, people. Okay, so the next article is an ISA article, the Kurosawa method. And this one is by Corey Mandel. It caught my eye because if you don't know who Kurosawa is, you should just right now push pause and go look it up. It was interesting. I was like, oh, what is the Kurosawa method? So go take a look. But basically, it gets into more detail. It's saying that he made a commitment to himself that he would write at least one new screenplay page every day. That's it, just a page a day. And I thought that was really interesting. It's a great way to keep yourself in check. And it's not an overwhelming commitment. It's sit down and write a page. And the great thing about that is one page can sometimes turn into 2, can turn into 3, can turn into 10. And if you just commit every day to sit down to one page, then you're on your way. You're a writer.
Yeah, that was a point you made earlier, that if you say you're a writer, but you're not actually going through the process of writing, then by basic definition, you're not a writer.
And it sort of gets you out of that excuses. I mean, we all do the thing where we say, oh, I'm just so busy. I'm overwhelmed. I don't have time. Today, I'm not going to write. But you really can't give yourself an excuse for writing a page, sitting down and writing a page. Yeah. And sometimes when I sit down to write, I literally write just to write things out. I'm like, blah, 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 to get it out of my brain. It's not useful, but it's clearing things out.
My worst excuse, which I've become a professional at making, is I'm not feeling it.
Oh, yeah.
And even when I say it, I can feel it in here, ironically, that I know I'm lying to myself, because of course you don't feel it when you're doing the dishes and focusing on other things in life. Yeah, no, you're not feeling it. You have to actually put yourself down and sit and start to feel it. Like there isn't I have to take advantage of this creative moment. Sure, you can do that, but it's not like it's just a lightning strike. This is something you have to push into. And that's something, and I'm speaking from personal experience because I don't do that enough. My excuse is I'm writing other things for other people or making notes on, hundreds of other projects so often that legitimately by the end of the day, creatively, I'm a little fried, but that is still technically an excuse. If I did the Kurosawa method of just write at least, even just freehand one page, whether it's actual dialogue and scene directions, or it's just an outline of what the scene might be, one page.
Right. I know. I agree. I think that sometimes you have to force yourself to get back in the rhythm, because the longer you stay out of it, the easier it is to not do it again and again and again. So I like this method. I think I'm going to test this out, testing it out. Because some days I don't write. I'm going to try it.
Good. Yeah. And it's just like working out. And everybody uses the example, but it's the same exact thing.
Hard.
It's really difficult. Just one little thing every day.
Yeah.
Um,
We forgot to talk about our favorite romantic comedies from that last article.
oh my God, our favorites. So what are your favorites?
I don't know if it's technically a romantic comedy because to me it has comedy elements, but Pride and Prejudice is my favorite. And I'm talking about the Joe Wright directed version with Keira Knightley. And I also like Pretty Woman and Notting Hill. So I'm a Julia Roberts romantic comedy fan.
I love all of those. It's tough. I mean, I have to choose When Harry Met Sally just because it's the one I go to all the time. I'm referencing it all the time when I'm chatting with my writers.
You do.
I mean, I do.
One more that I forgot to say. I cannot believe I didn't say it. Some Kind of Wonderful. It's my favorite.
Good one. Oh, it's been ages since I've seen Some Kind of Wonderful.
That's my ultimate favorite romantic comedy.
Okay. Yeah, they're all so good. Notting Hill is awesome. I think Love Actually is a romantic comedy more than it is a Christmas movie. Everybody kind of watches it during Christmas.
What's on your shirt there, Betty?
This is 16 Candles. So kind of segueing into segment number 3, personal news. I do love 16 Candles. It is not necessarily in my probably top 5 necessarily, but this is Jake Ryan saying, yeah, you. Yeah, you. I don't know if you remember the end of 16 Candles when he's leaning against this Porsche 944, which I believe is a 1984. I recently purchased and I'm restoring at the moment. So that's why I bought this car or shirt. It isn't
car, so you could be like Jake Ryan. You bought the shirt so you can talk about your car.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Girl who's in my age range who doesn't remember that ending. I mean, that's like a dream moment.
Yeah, and she's like, me standing on. Yeah. So that's part of my little personal news. I didn't get red, although I'm considering repainting it red, but I don't know. I'm excited. Like today kind of I brought everything to the mechanic. I've been ordering parts and doing a ton of research for the past few months, and I'm excited to get this thing going. That's going to be part of my Max Reacts videos. I'm going to be putting a camera in the Porsche and driving around, and it's a fun, neat little car. But what else in personal news? So what are you watching?
Okay, so this weekend I watched the pilot for Minx.
I can't wait to watch it.
HBO Max. I will give you one warning. There's a lot of, and if you want to bleep this out, there's a lot of dicks. A lot.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, just be aware.
Well, it's about that though, right? It's about.
Yeah, and that didn't bug me because it's about time. Like, come on. I really liked it. I was hesitant at first because my company name is Rebel Minx, and I was like, they used Minx. But I think that the pilot was really well done, and I love Jake Johnson. I love
Jake. Yeah,
he's awesome in it, and I think that it's a fun sort of like bingey type show that you can watch. I also watched in 2 parts Drive My Car, which is the Japanese film that's up for Mega Awards and has won Mega Awards. And my honest opinion of it is that I appreciate it. I don't think it's a movie for me. Thematically, it just didn't resonate with me. And I think that it's too long. Quite honestly, it's 3 hours long. I think the first 40 minutes did nothing for me. It could have absolutely been started there and I would have been fine. I would have probably liked it. But it was just so long that I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, and I just think thematically, I don't want to spoil anything about it or like what it's about, so I won't go into that. But yeah, it wasn't really it didn't make me feel the way that probably it makes some other people feel who have been in similar situations or have had feelings similar to that movie. So
okay. I think it's important for everybody watching to know that our little reviews and editorials hopefully don't sway you too much, especially since this is an Oscar nominated movie. And if you're in this industry in some way, you should watch it and have your own opinion. But now hearing Shayna say that, I don't know how eager I am to turn it on and watch this.
Yeah, I mean the middle's good. Once you get into it, past the beginning, it's nice. It's like I understand why people really like it. It just didn't hit me in the places that it would probably hit somebody else who has feelings like that.
I have binged, and this is kind of going back to why I gave a little excuse about the movies that I have not yet seen in terms of the nominees. I was about 3 or so seasons behind for The Walking Dead. And I loved the show for the first like 4 seasons or so. It just kind of got a little repetitive in the middle, seasons, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I started watching again around season 9-ish. And so just about every night I've been watching 2, 3 episodes. And it's really good. They've kind of saved themselves. There have been a couple episodes that are a little strange. I think like in season 10. But one of the reasons why I also wanted to bring that up is because, and not that I need to go into this long lecture because that's not necessarily what the show's for, but I noticed it so clearly. And I think it's because one of my writers was having some issues with dialogue. There was a scene where one particular character was wanting something, adamant about it. The other character did not want that. So there was a disagreement, and it was pretty much life or death type of decisions. And one of the characters was saying, basically, you're wrong in making that choice. The other character then makes the choice. A third character ends up dying because of it. The main character that knew that this was the incorrect choice hardly said anything after the choice was made, and obviously it didn't go well. And I was waiting for, like, in my head as a viewer, I'm like, he needs to be saying, and I told you so type of line of dialogue. Like, that's what I wanted him to say.
Right.
And he basically just changed the subject because he didn't need to say anything. Like, there was a moment where we just saw what happened based on your decision. Not good. Let's get up and go. And it's not exactly this, perfect example of writing dialogue, but subtlety is so important because this character and the writers knew he didn't need to say, I told you, you didn't need to do, because we just saw it and we're seeing what just happened. We're seeing the reactions of the characters and this dire situation. So all told, it was just this perfect example of me in my head as a consultant saying, see, you don't need to be saying these things. Right. Just let the scene play out and let the visuals tell us things as opposed to relying on the dialogue to do it.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't watched The Walking Dead in a while. I'm the same way. I really liked it the first few seasons, and then it, kind of like drifted, and then I kind of found other things to watch. And yeah, so I don't know that I'm going to venture back to it, but I like it.
It's tricky when you get so far behind a series that has 11 plus seasons. And you're like, I'm way too behind. But I just made the decision the other day, you know what? I'm jumping back in. Let's see if I enjoy this. And I'm really liking it all over again, which is kind of nice. But it's the reason why I haven't been watching other things. I need to get caught up on all these other shows like Upload. I love Upload. They have a second season of Upload. Have you seen the first season?
No.
It is so great. It's half-hour comedy. It's awesome. Ghosts on CBS. I want to get caught up on that. Anyway, there's a long list, but we do have one viewer mail question. So this is Abigail from Atlanta. It's a huge question that we may not be able to give all of the answers to, mainly because it's a pretty relative answer, I think. But she is asking, how do you know when your script is ready?
Well, I'm going to let you answer that, Mr. Script.
Well, and I'm happy to, but when do you know when you and your writing partner are so-called done with a script?
I mean, I don't think your script is ever ready, to be honest with you. I think you just send it out there and see what happens. I mean, you have to pick an end point when you feel happy and satisfied, that's when it's ready to go. When you've gotten feedback, when you've had notes, when you've had people read it, when you get positive and you feel good about where you're at, that's when it's ready. You're always going to keep getting notes, no matter where you send it, what you do, what's going on, you're always going to get feedback and notes. And if you can't accept it, then don't write. I
think the key to what you were saying is that and you're comfortable with it after you've received feedback from multiple sources. I personally don't think you can just be independently okay with your screenplay. I mean, there are levels and steps. Like, okay, I've gone through my draft a couple times without other people reading it. I think it's ready to have other people read it in terms of receiving notes. So the bigger question is, what do you mean by ready, and is it ready to be produced? That I have absolutely no idea. There's really no specific perfect answer for that.
When your producer says it is?
Right. Yeah. When they pay you,
Right.
and then they get another writer on to rewrite it, and then you walk away and watch somebody else make your movie. Anyway,
It's a staircase of readies. You just
yeah,
got to climb the staircase to the next ready, to the next ready, to the next ready.
perfect. Finally, good news of the week. It's 72 degrees in Wisconsin today.
Well, woohoo!
That isn't really the good news. But it was good news. Let me just go to this little article. This is fun. I think it's very happy news, but with some disclaimers that we'll talk about. But COVID, this is from our wonderful friends at Good News Network. COVID is now less deadly than the flu in England as mask requirements end. I think that is worth noting in terms of how long it has been and how far we've come. But they are saying roughly for every 100,000 Omicron infections, 35 will result in death, which is still rough, but while the equivalent number of flu infections will lead to 40 fatalities. So it's good news.
It's good news, except for those with the flu. But it is nice to hear that COVID is going down, and hopefully it stays down. Hopefully we don't have another surge. We just have to stay positive and enjoy our mask-free time now, because we may be wearing them again. Don't throw them away. Don't burn them.
It's important to note that they're mentioning in England. I mean, there are other parts of the world that are not, dealing with it as well, and we have to remember that. But they're mentioning here that they point to the high degree of immune protection from either vaccinations or previous infections as being the main reason for the recent parity with the flu, which of course, if you're vaccinated and you also had a mild case of COVID, you're even that much more protected.
Some positive sunshine on a negative subject. So
yeah,
it's a good
one. We're coming into the summer and spring. Spring just started. We're getting closer to warmer weather. So hopefully we can all somewhat get back to normality and enjoy ourselves. But in the meantime, to swing all the way back to our top headline, we've got a whole bunch of Oscar movies to watch.
And I'll give you my good news.
Yeah.
If in case everyone wants to know, my Wordle streak continues. Just letting you guys know that my Wordle streak now is 32 in a row. 32 days in a row.
Wow.
Woo!
32 days in a row. Now, what if you also go 32 days in a row of one page a day?
Right.
And you incorporate your Wordle word into that page in some way.
Whoa. The Wordle Kurosawa method. Go.
I think the moral here, the lesson is repetition, discipline, and yeah. I think that's about it. Repetition and discipline from a writing standpoint, but also just from a life standpoint. We've been forced to be disciplined for the past couple of years because of the COVID pandemic. Writers understand that you've got to be disciplined in terms of sitting down every day. And so let's just move forward and, find as much happy news as we possibly can and get some work done while we're at it.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in once again. If you have any questions, make sure you send it to us on our YouTube page. If you have any comments, you want us to talk about anything, let us know.
Yeah, put some comments down there. We'll be checking every now and then to see what comments pop up, but we'll be back again next week, and everyone enjoy the spring. And
check out ISA Insider, check out Writing Gigs, check out our events page, get up to speed with us. Have a great week, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.